Right, hi there YouTube. In this video we're going to be looking at how to install Kali Linux alongside Windows 10 the easy way. Now, there are several reasons why you may wish to do this, such as your machine might lack the capability of being able to run virtual machine software, such as for a reason like you may not have enough processor power to be able to do so. A second reason for this might be because you can't get access through to your BIOS system to change things in that way, so you're forced to have to install it alongside Windows. So here in this video, after the break, we're going to take a look at how to do this. So stay tuned and let's get cracking.
Get strong.
Okay, so we're at the workbench and what we have here is a clean install of Windows 10. Now, just before we get cracking with this, there are a few things that you might very well need. The first of all that you will definitely need is some sort of internet connection. Now, that could be wireless, so you could connect wirelessly to the internet using your laptop's internal or your computer's internal Wi-Fi, but if you don't have that, then an Ethernet cable will do just fine, and that's what we're going to be using here. The second thing that you're going to need is a Kali Linux USB key. If you don't know how to do that, then you probably ought not to be running Kali Linux, so you'll need the installer on a USB thumb drive. Now, optional, the other thing that you might very well need is a calculator. And the reason for this is because we need to calculate the volume of storage. So basically what we can do is take our hard drive and slice it in two to give us exactly a 50-50 split. And that's going to mean dealing with some quite large numbers. So, with this being said, let's get cracking. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, okay, is, if I can get the camera to play ball, there's a search bar there. And what we're going to do is in the bottom left-hand side, we're going to type in DISKMGMT and then press enter. So what this is going to do is create and format hard disk partitions. This is the easiest way that you can dual boot Kali Linux. Now what you will see here is a disk management window. Now, where the mouse is, this is for our C drive. What we're going to do is left click it first and then right click. And then it will give us the option to shrink the volume. And that's what we want to do. We want to shrink that. So this might just take a while. Right, okay. Now, what we have is a second window that's opened up. Let's zoom in and take a quick look at this. Now, we're going to be focusing on the top set of numbers here. So the total size before shrink in megabytes is 1,907,677. So what we're going to do is we're going to split that directly in two. Now, 1,907,677 divided by 2 will give us 953,838. So that is what we're going to want to do. Now with you guys, it might be different. So what you'll need to do is take the top number and divide that by 2. And then what you'll do is enter that number that you get in the amount of space to shrink in megabytes. Now once we've done this, what we'll do is go ahead and say shrink. So left click on that. We zoom out. Now this might take a while, but as you see, what we've now got is we have exactly our drive sliced in two. So we have our C drive where Windows is. This is all fine, this is all well and good. And then what we have here is unallocated space. And if you look here, both of these numbers tally up. So what we've essentially done is split our drive in two, so now we have another partition to work with. And in this case, it's 931.48 and 931.48. So that's exactly half. That's good enough for me. And now we can proceed to the next part. So this is actually fairly easy in this next part. What we're going to do now is reboot the machine, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in our Kali Linux USB. We can do that right now. And we're going to get this thing hooked up to the internet. Okay, so we've got our Kali Linux USB plugged into the laptop along with the Ethernet cable. So it's now time to go ahead and restart. So all we need to do with this is click on the start bar. There's a round circle icon here which says power. Now all we need to do is click that, go ahead, restart the machine, and then what we'll want to do is boot from USB. So we'll just allow this to restart, and okay, so it says it's getting Windows ready, don't turn off your computer. Well, what we'll go ahead now and do is hard power it off and turn the machine off by force. So on this machine, it's top left hand button, power it off, we'll repower on, and hopefully now what we should have is our graphical user interface for Kali Linux. Let's go ahead and do a graphical install by hitting the Enter key. This may take a while, but as you see, it's starting to boot up. Ignore any of the errors that are thrown here. That doesn't really matter. As I'm kicking the tripod everywhere. Right, okay, so now what we're prompted with is to select a language. So this will be down to whatever language and region you are using. So we'll just go ahead and continue this. Now I myself am in the United Kingdom, so the United Kingdom is where I live. So we'll select that. For any of you other guys out there and girls, of course, that may vary. So you just select the region and then continue. Standard British English keyboard, continue. And we're just now going to load up our additional components. And then obviously it'll install the base system. This is so easy to do. So we'll just give that a moment. Right, okay, so detect network hardware. Now, we'll be prompted with two options here. Okay, we can either go off the Ethernet, which is what I'm doing, so that'll be the first one that's highlighted. Or for some of you guys, you can go via wireless LAN as well. And then obviously all you would do is input your Wi-Fi password and obviously select your Wi-Fi access point from a list that would be prompted. However, I'm doing this off of Ethernet because it's faster. So we've selected the top one. Now we'll go ahead and continue. So it's just attempting, obviously, the IPv6, setting DHCP, and configuring the network. Right, now with this one, okay, please enter a host name for the system. I'm just going to continue that. The domain name is blank. We don't really need that. And now it's time to set up users and passwords. So I'm going to call this one Hacker, because that's essentially what I am. Nothing fancy about that, it's just Hacker. Okay, and continue again, and now just a password. So anything that you want in there. And then just tab that over to continue, and we'll continue. Now, detect this. So this is going to load up our petitioner in a moment. And what we'll want to do, and it's dead easy this, we're going to say guided, use the largest contiguous free space, so we'll just continue. All files in one partition, which is recommended, and continue. Now, we don't actually need to play with anything here at all, okay, because it's already done for us. So our NTFS, as you see here, is for Windows. We don't actually need to do anything. It's done this all for us, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look. So number one, primary, that's NTFS. That's going to be a swap file area. We know this because we saw this in disk management in Windows. Number two is our primary partition. For NTFS, that's Windows, that's 1 terabyte. So we're going to leave that as is as well. Number 5, which is our logical. This one here is where Kali Linux is going to be installed to. It's on an ext4 partition there. And it's got a bootable flag, as you see. So we just basically can just finish partitioning and write changes to disk. It's already highlighted. So let's go ahead and continue this. It's dead easy. Okay. Now we just write the changes to the disk. Just by selecting yes on the prompt and going ahead and hit continue while that formats. It's so easy. It might take a while, in which case all we'll do is just pause out periodically when we need to. That will be when we start installing and configuring the base system and all of the rest of it, which will take quite a long time. Let's just see how this goes on this particular machine. And if it does take a while, you might be prompted yourself to go and get coffee, because it can take quite a while. But I think for installing a base system, this is relatively quick, so we'll just leave this. It's when we actually start installing Kali itself, that's when it takes a while, so we'll probably just pause through most of that. Let's just, however, give this a moment and see what happens from here on out, as we just install the base system. Okay, I think what we will do is we will pause this just for a moment, because it is seeming to take a while. So we'll just pause and we'll come back when that's near at the end. Okay, so base system is almost pretty much installed. That took a few minutes. So we're just going to wind this up now. It's almost done, and then it's time to move on to the next segment of installing Kali Linux alongside Windows 10. So it's just selecting and installing software now. This might take a while as well. So this is why, as I said, you might need coffee. So it's just a case of waiting and a little bit more waiting. And then after that, a little bit more waiting as well. And when you're done waiting, you can wait a little longer. At least that seems to be the case on this machine. Your time mileage may vary depending on what machine that you're using. But anyway, it's time to now move on. So it's time to select our software. We're just going to leave it as is for now, because the purpose of this is just to show you that, yes, this is the easy way of doing it, and it does work. If I really wanted to, I would install absolutely everything in every tool. But there are ways that you can do that anyway manually. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and hit continue. And this will take a while. So now might be a good time to go and reach for that coffee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause and go and grab myself a coffee. Okay, so this thing is pretty much done retrieving files from over the internet. So we're still going to give this a while yet. There it is, it's retrieved all the files, so we just now need to wait for it to actually install all of this. So as you see, here it's unpacking and installing all of our necessary modules and all of our necessary software. And this could very well take quite a significant amount of time, but that's going to depend on largely your machine, how much RAM that you have, processor, and obviously your disk space. So let's just pause this, because we're not going to wait around for at least 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll just pause it, and then when it's virtually done, we'll resume. Okay, so we're just cleaning up the last of the installation. That took a little over 3 cups of coffee, or about just over half an hour. So we've just got to wait for the next part now. So we'll just give this a few moments and we'll see what we're presented with. Okay, so it's just installing the Grub bootloader now. And this basically is going to allow us to select our Kali Linux from startup. And of course, it's the bootloader for Kali itself. So, right. Now it's saying, prompting us, install the Grub bootloader. Right, do you wish to install it to your primary drive? We're now going to go ahead and say continue to this. Now, we can either enter our device manually, or we have 2 other options. One is on DevSDA or SDB. Well, we're going to select SDA because that's our primary hard drive, and then we'll continue. So it's just installing the bootloader now, and this usually shouldn't take too long, only just maybe around a minute or so. Some machines will be quicker, others like this one just take forever, but it should be done fairly quickly. As you see, that's doing quite nicely. So we'll just give this a few moments. What will then happen is we'll be prompted to restart the machine. Pretty much once all of the users and passwords have been set, it'll be time to remove the USB drive from the machine. So it's just finishing the installation now. And that shouldn't take very long either. So we just give this literally a minute or so, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so after that, the installation is complete, so it's time to boot into your new system. Make sure to remove the installation media so that you can boot into the new system rather than restarting the installation. So from that one, we'll just pull out thumb drive. That can get put back with the rest of them, which goes in here because we're basically done with that. Now we can just press continue. It's just going to run the cleanup, unmount the file systems, and we should be good to go. Again, with this one, it will throw errors, but it's best to ignore it. And now what we have is a boot menu. So this is where we've now managed to successfully run Kali Linux alongside Windows 10. Just to show you that, okay, we can use the up and down arrow to select either Kali GNU Linux, advanced options for Kali GNU Linux, or Windows 10 on SDA Dev 1. So what we'll do is we'll just fire up Kali for now. So we'll just enter that. And we'll see if this guy works. So we should get a splash screen, which we have, with our nice dragon. And we'll just give this a moment to load up. And we'll see what we get. And then just to prove that it's all working, what we will then do is boot into Windows 10 and check that that's all working as well. Okay, so pretty much now we have our splash screen. So it's going to prompt us for the username and password that we that we basically set up when we were installing Kali. So it's just simply, for me, it would be the username as hacker, and then our password, followed by enter. And this now should load us into Kali Linux. So we'll just give this a short while to boot up. As we said, this machine is rather slow, so apologies for that one. But as you see, it's all now fully loaded up and running. I do believe, yeah. And we have our tools here. At this point, what we could elect to do is apt-get update and then apt-get upgrade. But for the time being, we're going to leave that one there. So we're going to leave Kali Linux alone, and now we're going to go over to Windows 10 to make sure that that is actually running. So in the top right-hand side there, we just hit the icon. We're going to go ahead and say restart. And the system will reboot now. Then we'll be presented with the menu again, so we're just going to scroll down to Windows 10 and hit enter. And as you see, it's going to attempt to load up Windows 10. Now again, this machine is pretty pants, so it may take a while, but we'll see how we get on. So let's just give that while. We've got a spinning donut icon there. And it looks like it's doing something, which is good. And as you see, this is pretty much the easiest way that you can go about dual booting Kali Linux with Windows 10. I really should have done the video though on a slightly better machine, because this one, as we said, is not that great. But we'll just give this a moment. So we'll just wait for a while for this spinning donut icon to do what it's got to do. And hopefully this doesn't take too much longer. No errors are thrown yet, so this, the only error there was me kicking the tripod again. Apologies. I think what we'll do, we'll just pause quickly while this actually completely loads up. Okay, and it's just saying now getting Windows ready, and it looks like, there we are, it has loaded. So it's just going to give us the welcome screen here. Try not to kick that tripod over again. So it's just loading Windows. Again, pretty slow machine. Should have done this really on my other one, but that would have meant dismantling it to essentially take the hard drive out to do it. But as you see, Windows 10 has indeed loaded, and it looks like it's all running, albeit slowly. But again, that's just due to the specifications of this particular machine. Yes, it is taking a while. But as you see, we have successfully now dual booted. There we are. So clicking the start button does indeed bring up our start menu, and everything appears to be normal there. So what we can do now is just essentially close out, go to our conclusions, and go from there. So there you have it. That was dual booting Windows 10 alongside Kali Linux, and pretty much it went okay. The conclusion is of it, by using disk MGMT within Windows, it saves a whole lot of time from having to use other third-party tools like UNetBootin, just to name one of them. So again, the reasons why you might wish to do this is if your machine like the one that I'm using isn't jacked up and powerful enough to run a virtual machine, then this really is pretty much the way to go with it. So yeah, hopefully you liked and enjoyed that video. And as always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Share with your friends, do the usual, get comments in, hit the notification bell, which is actually down there, so ringy ding. And as always, I'm wishing you the very best with your endeavours, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. So for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you then. Bye.